You're watching the Skateboarding Bros Show. Stories from the pioneers of skateboarding about the history and the fun of the sport we love.
All right, Ed, kick it off.
All right, well, welcome to the Skateboarding Bros Show. We're in season 4, episode 3 or 4 or 5. And what we do is talk about and try to capture the Florida skateboarding history and all of skateboarding history, because when we were doing it, it was just fun, and we would do it again. And who knew what it would turn out to be? And I think we were lucky to be there. We still are lucky to be here. And it's great to capture this because we are really cool people, and we did some cool shit, and we want to talk about it, and we want others to know about it. And there's more than can be written down. You have to have a conversation to talk to people about it. So we're happy to have, from the Bones Brigade, Donny Griffin here with us from Jacksonville, Florida. So thanks for coming.
Great. Yay.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you.
he's being inducted into the Florida Skateboarding Hall of Fame in January 2025.
And that's
Yep.
you might not miss it. If you're watching this when it first came out, you could still get to Jacksonville in time to see it for yourself.
If you're watching it 100 years from now, you missed it.
Yes, that's correct.
Class of 2024 inductee, welcome, Donny Griffin.
Yay.
No doubt. Let me see if
That's awesome.
I can roll some of these pictures here for you, Donny. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but
We gotta pay a few bills. So Donny, who are you skating for right now?
I
always got to pimp the sponsors. Always got.
I mean, I still skate for Pal. Pal has blessed me since the beginning. I never skated for anybody else but Pal. I did skate for Tracker for a while, but I guess I joined the punk rock crew and went to independent because I like to ride bowls and go real fast in a circle. So can't do that too hard.
Turn?
Yes. So, Tone has always helped me out. A local surf shop with Sunrise Surf Shop's always supported me. And of course, McGill's always supported me. So McGill Skate Shop. So those are kind of like my guys that have always supported me. Now my family is Jet Home Loans. And, my mom and my dad supported the hell out of me. My mom dragged me everywhere. So that's crazy.
Very lucky. Yeah.
And my wife, just lets me go and skate. She loves it. She's enjoyed it. She gets, not too many people meet a person and they're like, hey, we're going to go to Tony Hawk's wedding. She's like, what?
Wow. Yeah.
Go to McGill's wedding, and do stuff like that. It's crazy. So
That's real cool. That's good.
So that is great. Real quick, what was the name of that skate shop again?
So I have Sunrise Surf Shop here locally in Jacks Beach. That's
Okay.
Dan. He's supported me. He supported Buck. He supported Mike Peterson. All the local guys that really took off. He's always supported us, along with Marty. Marty's always supported me. The Ramuses, yeah. So those guys, and McGill Skate Shop is always, hell, I worked there during the summer for Mike whenever he needed whatever he needed. So
being from Jacksonville, how did you avoid not being on Rat Town or Z-Boy or any of that stuff? How did you avoid the Weber the tentacles of that part?
That's a great question.
You didn't like to smoke weed, or what? You didn't drink enough beers, or what's the deal?
We were me and Kevin Lambert, because that is definitely and so me and Kevin really grew up together, and he has a lot to do with why I'm as good as I'm at, who I am today, by him pushing and that whole crew. I don't know how we didn't really get part of that crew. It just was, I think I'm like a generation in the skateboard generation one away from that. So I'm going, 86 happens, 85, 84, 86 happens. and and I don't know if y'all remember, it blew up. Skateboarding exploded. And, we were these two young Groms that just skated vert like all the other guys. We might not have gone as high. I mean, Kevin did. I didn't. Was way smaller than everybody. But, we just missed those guys. Those guys, we're part of those guys because we're just part of the family. But it's
Right.
you see me and Kevin, we're in Ratbone's ass. How can you, those guys are, not to diminish what those guys were, but it's like we're on a whole nother level that we didn't even understand. I mean, I didn't understand it, what level we were at. I was just like, cool, we're going to go skate with, all the guys, I think of it today and I'm like, yeah, I went and skated with them. And people are like, what are you talking about? Because they didn't get to go skate with Lance and Cab and those guys. And I did. It was like the natural thing.
Yeah, but I mean, did you know? I mean, when they came around, they had to be Stacy. When someone came around and started talking to you, how did that all happen?
McGill.
Mike
McGill saw something in I think me and Kevin and Bob Reeves. Like, gotta give him, those guys were like grooming us to be the next Hawk, but not knowing what Hawk was at that time. But he's like, Stacy was taking on. Mike had his guys that he wanted to groom. Lance had his guys. Chris Borst is a great example. Tony had his guys, Underhill, and Adrian Domain and all those guys that he was grooming. Cab just was Cab. He had the faction, so he was like doing all that. I mean, he did have guys too. I mean, he was finding people. But they just had their guys, and Stacy, I drive out to California to move McGill out. I helped him move to California.
Nice.
I drove from Jacksonville to California. I was like 14 years old. Great story we'll talk about in just a second. But I got out there and that's what just stemmed it all off, My parents trusted Mike, and I mean, I went to France with Mike. I mean,
that's
I got a lot. I
trusted everyone.
Go, My mom.
Mike was a little older than you because he was in the late 70s. He was around us. We had a great time with Mike at a lot of contests and stuff. So he's like a few years older than you, but he found you. Is that how that worked?
Right. So I'm at Kona, and he found me.
That's great.
So I mean, then we became. I mean, my family and his family. That's family to me. I mean,
yeah.
Papa McGill was like my uncle. Mama McGill is like my aunt. His sisters are like my sisters and cousins. I mean, when I go to Tampa, like I'm going to Tampa, I won't have time, but I usually try to reach out to Mike's people, see who's there. And, and when I have time now, it's like, hey, come skate here. So everybody's trying to get me to skate more and more. I try as much as I can. It's, of course, I skate probably twice a week now with Buck. So
that's great.
You said go to Tampa. I got to ask you, do you skate the St. Pete, the Humbler, that pool that they built at the St. Pete Park?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really the Humbler to me because, I mean, I did skate Upland and I did skate Vans, so it's not as good as those. It's terrible how it was built. It's big. It's not like something. I'd rather go skate the Clover. I mean, I feel like that's like a much better design and a much more. It's a funner trannies. I wish it was a little bit different, but so much more fun. to
Yeah.
skate.
Seems like in that deeper pool, and I don't skate anymore, but I'm a genius for lines. And I look at that and I see you go in, you got to immediately suck it up and drop again. And if you string out your carb, you're going to be back into the same training. And it just doesn't seem like a good design. But that,
Yeah, I mean, you go through the round, and where do you go into a square wall? I mean, I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, I mean, it's I don't know. If I was younger, it'd probably be super cool. Where I'm at, it's not that. That's not what I want to ride. I'd rather.
Plus, you've ridden the combi, and you've ridden all these glass bowls. They're just perfect. So, I mean, how do you even come back and skate at Kona? Or I guess there's a lot of parts. There's St. Aug's, there's Treaty, and then there's Jack's Beach. AB is kind of old now. Where do you skate most of the time?
Oh, AB. I mean, I love AB's pool.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, we can have philosophy of Buck Smith in that pool if you wanted to, you know, and what should have happened and what did happen and everything like that. It's great to listen to his stories. I love them. You know,
did Buck design that or have something to do
no,
with it?
he just goes and hollers at people to tell them how they did it wrong. He's like, you didn't lay that out? That is, of course, you didn't lay that out, you know? So, you know, hey, listen, that is an awesome park. I'm glad we have it. It's the closest thing that we have to what I would consider like a California park.
Yeah.
It's super smooth. The little snake run is everything that I think the four of us would like, because we could go and just flow and not like hang up, you know, or etc. And I'm being humble because I can 50-50. I can frontside grind. I can do all that through it and go as hard and fast as I want in little tiny alleys, nothing crazy, but it's so much fun, you know. It's a fun park, and every park's going to have something. Oh, I wish they would have done this. I wish they'd have done that. You know, I'm like, I wish that. I'm glad it's there. You know, you should see the kids that are coming out of it. It's unbelievable, the number of kids that are coming out of that park.
Is it because of design? The newer designs make it so it's more fun. Back in the day, nobody knew what the hell was going on. They were kinky and funky and fall down, get hurt. But the new designs got flowed to them, and you just cruise, and it just looks beautiful. So,
and this one's like a clock. It goes around in a circle. So the middle has the pool, okay, like a kind of combi-ish type of like clover. I don't even know what they call it, pool. And then they have like a flow bowl, kind of like what you see that they ride in now today in all the contests. And then the snake run kind of wraps around that to the north side. But around all of it is like street area with banks and rails and ledges and like grind rails everywhere. Little, you know, it's fantastic. A little like stair area. And then, you know, it's a little bit multi-layer, you know, level. It's pretty cool. It's a park that you'd step. That's Team Pain.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
So it was. Tim did a great job. His guys did a great job. I commend. I mean, at every park I've rode with them, it's been great. I mean, some of the older parks, we didn't really know what we were doing, but nobody did. But you had to do that to get to where we are today. You can't just like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. I mean, that's what I love.
Make the mistakes. Yeah, you have to make the mistakes. Absolutely.
There you go, George. That's it.
Yeah.
Got to.
So you mentioned earlier, so Bobby Reeves, you were skating with him. So that was when Bobby was on Powell. Is that right?
Yeah. So Bob, there's another story. Bob drags me and Kevin around California in the van, in the tour van, and a couple other vehicles, but mainly the Pal Peralta tour van during the Animal Chin when we were filming
Wow.
that. So we're 3 weeks out there. We got kicked out of Upland. It was great. It was, you know, you got to know Kevin Lambert. He's just he's a pistol, and just like will speak his mind, and God bless him. He hasn't changed, and I hope he never does. He's awesome. And he basically told who owned Upland.
Shit.
Yeah, he
Alba. Steve Alba,
yeah.
for lack of a better phrase.
Stan Hoffman.
Hoffman. He basically told Hoffman to go suck it. So, you know, Stacy wasn't too happy with this, but you know, he kind of laughed about it, you know.
So
Well,
that Animal Chin was the first time Stacy did more of a theatrical storyline in search of kind of thing. And so what do you think about that format? Because, you know, like you were in the Bakersfield segment, and you know, you show up and skate, but you know, it didn't really have depth in the concept of the movie, but it seemed like a lot of fun.
I mean, it was probably even more fun than what you saw. I have like some tapes that I'm getting to Mitch Kaufman, that I'm actually dropping off tomorrow, that are just raw, uncut video of everything. So, you know, yeah, it's theatrical in the most, you know, some people say the most homoerotic way you could get. But you know, it was,
There were
for
rumors.
me,
There were rumors.
there was, you know, for you know, let's see, that's 86. So I was like 14. I mean, I was just there to skate, you know. You know,
So you did your own makeup and everything.
yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, the only thing I did different, just to be kind of different, is I got the idea. Pal would send me some crazy stuff every once in a while, like shirts that were not printed right. So like this logo is like squared right on a shirt. I would get like some that were off center, and they would send them to me, and I'd wear them all the time. And I took the shirt that they gave me and I wore it backwards. If
There
you
you go.
look in the video,
Nice.
I'm wearing the shirt backwards the whole time.
Dig it.
And Stacy loved that about me, I think, without really telling me, because he never wanted me to know that he knew that I was. We're all a little bit off. You know, Lance is really off. I mean, not in a bad way. You know, McGill's off in his own thing. Cab, Tony, you know, Bob Reeves in his own way. Kevin Lambert in his own way. Adrian. So we all have our own little, you know, special quirks. And same with George. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to hang out with George, and like, I love that guy. So
That's a really good point. Yeah, everyone had their ways of standing out. So think back to what type of setups were you riding back then? So we're talking 85, 86. So you've gone past snub nose. You're
yeah.
on
So
double
this,
kicks.
here you go. You ready for this? You're gonna love this. I went from a snub nose Ray-Ban. Well, I had a Z board, was my first board.
Of course you did.
And I loved it. Like I loved it. And I went from that to a Ray Bones Rodriguez with Gullwing trucks. It's at Kona. You'll be able to see it if you show up at Kona. It's orange. It's that electric orange that they have. Yeah, you know, that kind of is like a stain. Yeah. And then from that, I went to a mini cab, because which they didn't call a mini cab back then. They called it a street cab. So you could only get a street cab at that time. So I rode a street cab, and Marty's dad got General Issues, which is the first pencil stick board. So I'd like to say I'm the first one to ride pencil sticks out of everybody, because I rode them crazy. I've got plenty of them. And I mean, rode that board for a long time because I was really little. I needed something kind of small.
Yeah.
Rodney
those
Mullen.
were 8 inches. That was an 8-inch. It was a 5-ply, wasn't it? 8-inch. I mean, that was a small board.
It was a small, no shape to it, just a round nose, square tail.
Yep. You weren't a big kid though, so.
No. Rodney Mullen helped me with that too. He kind of influenced me a little bit with that. Him and Tony came, and they were riding some other shapes, some weird shapes. Especially Tony always had some kind of weird gimmick that he was trying.
And is this crossbones, T-bones, or regular mini bones?
This is still cubes. You're around the cubes. Yes. You're getting into. I'm riding a freestyle 101.
Yeah.
That no one really rode, and I rode it because I needed the speed because I was too small.
Yeah.
So that's what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, those were super hard.
Super hard, super good. It was a good. And then I'm riding tracker trucks, but I'm riding mags to make it lighter.
Yep.
Of course, I had copers like everybody did it because you had magnesium, you rode copers.
You're riding magnesiums. You could ride full track magnesiums. This is correct. With freestyle wheels. This is like a 3.5-pound board. This is like, woo.
This is as high tech then as you could get. It's ridiculous. So,
did you have all the gear? Do you have nose bone, tailbone, ribs?
Nose bone. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
This shirt's on backwards.
Yep. There it is.
There's the backwards shirt.
There it
is. That's great.
Is that Buck in the red shirt?
No, that's in this picture. There's me, Tony, and then the red shirt is Kevin Lambert.
Okay.
He just looks like he's got attitude.
He does.
So the board is bigger than you. I can see why you went with the.
This picture with me with the silver cab, which is unbelievable. That's such a sick board. I wish I still had it. I actually think I still have this. This is Virginia Beach. This is several years. That's a whole nother story. But this silver board right here, I transitioned straight from that. That's when I went straight to general issues after that. So.
Is that you're on something similar to a general issue there in the black and white photo?
No, let me tell you what that is. That is that's a special board that Pal sent to me. I'm trying to it's an experimental board is what it is. And that's experimental sticker.
Right.
And I just came off of elbow surgery, like right. Not, wow. I mean, I'm just right back. So I just broken my elbow.
Looks like your left arm, or is that
left arm? Left arm.
You can see, it looks like that's padded up pretty good there.
Yep.
Left side.
Yep.
SIO shorts. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Love you, Barry.
Love you. And that's Kona's real first vert ramp. Well, with the blue helmet and the cab, I'm on top of Kona's vert ramp right there. The fiberglass ramp.
Oh.
The blue one or whatever it was.
The orange. That's the orange one.
Oh, okay.
It's the bigger one.
Jeez. So nice tuck knee there, bro. On
got the
yeah, solid.
Yeah, no doubt. Everything's on. It's not a California picture. This is a make.
Yeah. We made more than we bailed back then.
I did notice that Mikey, doesn't he usually ride goofy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the picture, he's just putting his feet on the board any way he can.
He's a closet regular footed skater.
Closet switch. So where was this?
Remember this pool?
Yeah. So we're we go, they do the animal like like Powell does. They do, a big premiere of Animal Chin. And this is either the day before or day after this board comes out, and he comes out with the mini McGills. So we had these before everybody did. It's crazy.
Yeah, too bad about that.
We got.
Too bad about the XT, but that's okay. We'll forget about that.
So this is Bonite too, guys. If y'all
know.
remember anything.
Yeah, I remember.
Bonite.
That's the XTs. It was extra tough. I mean, extra soggy.
Yep. Oh, those are the only boards I've ever broken long ways.
Wow.
Long ways.
Yeah. So I had the board broke long ways. So when you're at Kona and you're skating the vert ramp, you had that big concrete wall right there, right to where the stands were at.
Right.
So, if the board hit just right, it would just like those Bonite boards would just like disintegrate.
Yeah. Bifurcate. That's all. It's kind of like a beamer.
Yeah. Yeah. So classic rails. Kevin skated for.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just like, you guys barely rode those. You're like, I don't want to stop for the picture. You're ready to just keep skating. That's like Christmas morning to get a board that's not even released.
Right. Yeah. So then they're tearing down this is a hotel. We show up, there's a whole session going on. We show up and take all these pictures. It was great.
Who else was at the session? Do you remember?
That'd be a better one for Kevin. Kevin remembers those cool little intricacies that he'll remind me of. I do remember. I can't remember his name, but he ripped. He was a great skater, pool skater. This was a fun pool too. Like it had a big deep end that you could have a good time. So
were both you
read the Gnar?
Were you guys riding indies?
Kevin rode indies and I rode trackers. And I think they purposely did that. That's kind of Stacy wanted to be politically correct and like, all right, well, I got this kid on tracker and I got this kid on indie, So those were the two.
That's
brilliant.
It early on, everything was Powell Peralta and tracker. Everybody rode the same thing on the team. There was no Clyde slide. There was no copers. They were nose bones. They weren't, nose guards. Everything was, so it's pretty cool that, especially if it's, I'm always pro indie. So when people are riding indie, it's
this is transitioning. You got, Cav's riding for indie now, and so you got Cav and so Cav, Tommy Guerrero, and Lance are all riding for Indy at this point in time. So, Kevin to ride Indies kind of fit the mold for them. Kevin was more those guys than I was. I was more of a McGill Hawk kind of guy on the team as we're transitioning and opening up and broadening what's happening with Powell at this point in time. That's me looking back from a 50-foot ceiling. Going, were they purposely doing that? I always think that Stacy had a plan. That's what made him so great.
That is, so how old were you in this picture in the pool?
I think I'm 15,
Jesus.
Maybe 14.
Did you know at this point what the hell was going on and what hierarchy and what monarch, whatever you want to say it, you were in the elite?
I didn't realize. I just thought I was part of just hanging out. I knew I kind of knew I was with the elite, but not like how you would see a kid today and act. I didn't act like I didn't feel like anybody owed me anything. It's like I just wanted to go skate, get better, do 540s, do big air, skate, become a professional skateboarder, and do whatever they do. You know, that's all I was looking to do. You know, I knew that just because of my size, I was going to take a little bit longer, you know, till I got bigger. So,
Mike was small when he was a kid. He was short.
Really?
Yeah, I was little. I was little, guys. I was super small.
Well, so now Phil, you have on with the helmet on. He owns Sensation Basin, so he built all of the window, the mirrors, and all the park and everything for Rodney to skate in. So we saw Rodney as a little kid, and then we see him now, and he's 5'11", 6, whatever he is, he's huge. And Mike was small, Gelfand was small, Tim Scruggs was not small. We're hoping he comes to Jacksonville. Did you ever meet Tim?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, Ray Diaz was small too, but he's large now.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
So Donnie, you said at 14 you cruised out to California with Mikey. Was that the first time you went to California to skate?
Yes.
And so you
actually
drove into SoCal. You drove into down south, or where were you at?
Del Mar. Yeah, we drove into Del Mar. So that area.
Let's grab a couple before we go forward. Let's go to these right quick.
Okay.
Let's just look at those boards and those kids.
Yeah. So it's Kevin, of course, too. Everybody's in the yellow helmet. Everybody's left. That's a Sims. I think it's not a Fulmer, is it? It might be.
Yeah,
and that's my snub nose. And you can see like how much taller he is than me.
That's a walker that he's riding.
No, it is a walker. You're right.
It's a walker.
That's exactly.
It's one of the it's like a Petty or something. They had that weird Walker's graphics. They always sucked. I'm just kidding, Bruce. We love you. But,
look at the rectors. Look at the knee pads. There's nothing for them to hold on to. There's no knee there.
I think we have Mad Rats on too, for sure.
Exactly. I was just going to capture that. You were cool as shit because you had the Mad Rats. That's the goods right there.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that we both have colored. He's still got a colored helmet. I have just a plain white. Just, it's funny. We wanted to reenact it, so we did this picture. This is right when it's so funny that we were the Bonite kids, and now we've got these flight boards that you can't even destroy with a dang. You got to take a shotgun to them to kill them. These flight boards are amazing.
So both of those are flight boards. I thought just the ones with the one you have in your hand is the logo that was indicated with that. But
I think Kevin's got like a one-off flight board, because we still get stuff from those guys. Mike over there, Fukukawa, he still flows to us.
That's awesome.
I love that shot on the left.
It's like had to barely hold them up.
Big old Ray Bones, man. Holy crap.
That's huge.
So this came back. So don't let me make the pictures go too fast. I'm just going to leave this here. Let's go back to where we moved to San Diego with Mike McGill. And what was it?
Quick story on that. So we're driving across. So Mike was getting tired because we're driving from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way there. So when we got into Texas, you're just driving for like a day and a half. So he bought a 300ZX, Nissan 300ZX, the long one, the twin turbo. And he would set it on cruise control, and I kind of like sat in the middle and drove the car, and he slept. I think I was like 14, maybe 13 years old doing that, driving down the road. There's nobody else on the road but me, for miles.
Wow.
For miles.
I taught Mikey how to drive. True
Well,
story.
he taught me kind of how to drive.
Kind of taught you. You just passed it on. Yeah, we were driving to Rainbow Wave Skate Park. I would go and pick him up, and I was like, "Hey, why don't you drive?" And he's just got his learner's permit. That's hilarious, though. That's a nice.
Yeah.
That 300ZX could fucking fly. Those things were.
Yeah, exactly. And he he's like, "Hey, Don." He always calls me Don. So he'd say, "Hey, Don, you want to drive?" And I was like, "Well, how am I going to drive?" He's like, "I'm going to set on cruise control." And I sat in the middle, and he took a nap for like hour and a half or so, and I just drove down the road. And he goes, he woke up the one time. He's like, "Where are we at?" And I was like, "We're about an hour from where you went to bed to sleep." So
Still in fucking Texas.
A day and a half. His promise to your parents gone. I'll take care of him.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. My dad is a little bit of a redneck, so it didn't even bother him. He's like, good. What doesn't kill him makes him stronger is his kind of theory a little bit. So he's a little tough, old school guy. Gotta love him.
Love that.
So you land in Del Mar.
Right.
So you drive out. Don't go anywhere. You drive to Del Mar parking lot. Very first thing.
Got to. You got to. I mean, where else did you go for?
Yeah. I mean, actually, where we went first is we went to Larry Bama's house first.
Okay.
So then then from there we went to the skate park. So I got to see Del Mar, really early. So it was pretty cool. And that was a big Del Mar contest. I think that's like 1984.
When did it go down? When did they end?
86.
Wow.
Or something like that.
It lasted a lot longer than all the other parks.
Yeah.
It did.
Wow.
It did. I saw a thing. People still have the tile from the pool.
Yep.
I skated it. It was it wasn't as perfect as people made it out to be, but it was a good pool. I mean,
it had good lines. You could find some lines in it, and you could work it side to side, and that's all that people cared about. It was the closest thing to a vert ramp, a concrete vert ramp. Yeah, but so you got to skate. Did you skate the pool and then the rest of the park, or what?
Yeah. I really like the ramp, kind of like their snake run. That was, where Tony really skated that well. I really like that. I really like the hips in particular, because I didn't get to skate hips very, very often, and that was really fun to me. It was like a different version of that's not a good example, but our ball was kind of like that was their version of a ball that they would ride to, learn tricks and everything like that, and then they would go to the pool. That's similar to what we did. We kind of used a tombstone a little bit to learn like frontside airs, backside airs, and stuff like that. And you could just, because that thing was so big, it didn't make going to the vert ramp was easy then.
Yeah.
And then we did have the pool, and we did have the roll in at that time, and that really, I think that's what catapulted me and Kevin the most, because it was just straight at that main wall, straight down the roll in.
Push in, hit the roll in. You wouldn't have to even roll in. You could hit the roll in gap, push in, and just blast one hitters.
That's correct.
Okay,
that's correct.
Nice.
That really probably set us up.
I really liked the first version of the Kona pool. That was one of my favorites. It didn't have like a red tile or red coping or something on it. I'm trying to remember. It was something a little bit off. But
no, the original one had like green.
Was it
the
green?
Original, yeah. There's Marty has a video that rolls that he talks about, hey, watch out for slamming. It's got McGill slamming like terrible during a contest. he loves that video. Not that he slams, but he's just like, it's just a classic old video of McGill. And then he gets up. This is the best part of the story, because he's losing the contest to Monty and all those guys. After he slams, he gets up and destroys it. Yeah. And that's classic McGill. It's like he'd have to slam, and then like whatever that did to him, it's like that's not what you want to see happen if McGill slams. He's gonna probably win the contest. Yeah. So super rad.
So we're just oh sorry, go ahead.
I enjoyed that pool a lot. It was, that was probably at the tail end of when I was really skating my best, and just had tons of tricks in there, and just really I remember had a lot of fun. Good slide and rolls on the left wall. But
yeah,
you mentioned
George, you're regular footed?
Regular, yeah. So I would come in, do a big invert on the face wall, loop around, do a front rock on that. I remember doing it. Sean Petty was judging a contest there, the last big contest I skated at. And I was doing these because the judges sat along the left-hand side on the steps. And I was doing these eye contact front side rock and rolls, staring right at the judges. And none of them saw it because they were looking at my wheels. I was like, Sean, did you see me looking at you? He was like, no, man, I was looking at your wheels. Like, fuck. But anyway, fun memories of that pool.
what wheels were you riding? Were you riding yo-yos then?
Oh, I was. So that was actually, no, that was Kryptonics days. So I was probably riding CX66 Kryptonics. So maybe it was after that when I was on Team McGill, and that was all Bones.
The cores will kill you, man. The cores will kill you.
Yeah, they weren't looking at me. They were looking at my board. I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's like, no, you got to deck it. You got to deck it for it to count. I was like, I was decking the shit out of it, but I was like staring right at them. Like, hey, guys. Fun times. Back when eye contact was a cool thing.
Right.
So
go ahead.
You did you get sucked into the mini ramp craze, or did you avoid that?
Ooh, boneless.
I always think of you as a vert rider.
I skated it because that's kind of where I would warm up, and then I go ride the vert ramp. So
ladies and gentlemen,
I still today struggle with the mini ramp. I mean, I like it for what I feel like it's necessary for. I feel like it's like, and I still think of it this way. Maybe it's a coach in me. Like that is to get you to go ride the vert.
It's going to be a minute.
Right.
Go lay down.
It's part of the process. It's not the reason to exist. The reason
lay down
is for the vert ramp, and the minis are a necessary evil.
I mean, I'm not going to take away from what these guys now are doing. It is
crazy,
amazing. Yeah. They are. Jake Wooten was just here there's a big mini ramp contest at Kona, and it's just like ridiculous. The things that they're doing. Heck, I mean, Mike Peterson still today is just unbelievable. But these are a little bit bigger mini ramps too. These aren't these tiny things. They're 6 foot tall, and they're big, they're long, and they're a real mini ramp. Like if you pat it up, nobody would really say. No one's going to say anything to us because that's what we do. But the littler kids pat it up. They'll probably need to be a little bit right at first. Jake Wooten can get away with it.
When mini first started coming around, I remember I was skating one with Rodney, and that was when blunts came out. People were trying to learn blunts, and I was skating a mini with Rodney, and I went up and I go into it was blunt to fakie, and I couldn't do it. There's nothing I could do. It didn't matter how small the wall was. I couldn't do it. At that point, I realized I'm never going to skate competitively again. I can't do this trick. And it was just like, okay, that's it. Can't jump in backwards. And so blunts did me in. Mini ramp blunts did me in, but it's okay. It was.
But that's a good question though. The whole jump ramp, boneless. Was it a purgatory? These guys in rough parking lots and little tiny ramps. I mean, God, they worked so hard at that. I mean, was that the only thing there was for 5 or 10 years? Or could you get to vert somehow? You just had to look for it and travel.
I mean, when all the parks closed, I was around that. So I was extremely blessed to be at Kona. So I'm not experiencing that like most people were. So, the jump ramps, I mean, I had one at the house. So, I mean, it was definitely fun. Everybody had like little tiny mini ramps everywhere. Barry Floyd had his, Kevin had one right down the road from Kona. So, we would go to those, but it's kind of funny. The crew that I hung out with Barry was a really good mini ramper, but a lot of us like to go to the ditches and ride the ditches. It was so funny. We had Kona, but we go ride a ditch. It just made no sense. But to me, it does, because I think that's just the spirit of the skateboarder, is just like, let's go ride something different because we can. And the mini ramps and the jump ramps got really big, man. I mean, those guys, I was a jump ramper. I can't say I wasn't. It wasn't like jumping out of the bowl, but I was already good at jumping out of the bowl at Kona. So you give me a jump ramp and you give me some time to, run and go as fast as possible and jump off this, no problem. 360s, all of that. I had it all because I was already doing it.
Denny Hanna.
Right, yeah. Kona set you up for it.
Superman.
Kona, once again, let's go back to Kona. I was skating the bowl. The bowl was huge. Jumping out of the bowl was nothing,
Go into the bank slalom. I mean, you already had that down.
I not as good as Danny and them did it. Good God. I mean, those guys took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But that you're getting into the 90s then. So, but did that in the 90s with them, all the way through to like 95, still riding, by myself on the skate ramp. I realized I was like the only skater when I looked down. I was like, there's nobody here but me. And, it didn't bother me. It's really weird. I always thought about it. I was just like, what am I going to work on today? So, but yeah, jump ramps are something else. That's a great question. Gosh, I didn't even think about it. Jump ramps. Oh my God.
I'd look at the videos and I go, what made them stoked? I mean, they were 2 feet off the ground, and then they would boneless, maybe over a gap, but it was manual. I mean, some of them were great big. I get it, but a lot of them were gravelly old parking lots off of a car that was on fire or some weird thing. And I don't know. I don't know if I would have been as enthused.
You know what we got really enthused in? Let me tell you, is taking it, and then we got 2, but at first we only had 1. Taking it to certain places where we could place it and ride up the wall.
Right.
Like the back of Publix, the back of Pick and Save, the back of these places where you get up super, super high. The problem with that, and I actually took a picture, and Chris Capoe's taken so many pictures of local Jacksonville skaters. I have a picture of him, or there's a picture out there. I don't know if they can find it or not, but I took a picture, and sometimes when 2 people would go at the same time, the ramp would lift up, and it lifted up, and he hit, and I took the picture at the same time. So there's a guy on the wall, and there's him slamming into the darn, and he's got big hair. It's exploding. It's great. It was the best picture ever.
So then,
I mean, and there you go. That's the thing. Like, that's that skateboarder spirit again, when we're out just like having a great time, goofing off. Something great happens, and it was, I loved it. I wish I'd have done that a little bit more, but I had the vert skater in me, and I just wanted to get better and better and better. I was just like honed in at Kona. Like, they're like, hey, let's go down to Lake Helen, or let's go here and skate. And I'm like, why?
So
God, it's 5 minutes away. What are we doing? You know?
Did you ever get 540s?
Yes. So I've got 540s. I have some videos that
Nice.
I started to send to y'all, but I've got people pulling on me like, hey, can I
All
get
right.
these videos for the thing? So
The stories are better. The stories are better.
yeah, I got some me slamming on the 540s, knocking me out, you know. McGill was super stoked that I made 540s. I remember showing him. He's like, oh my God.
So what year was it when he came back? Was it Finland, Sweden? Where was it he did it? He came up with it? Sweden. So he comes back 86?
No, no. Is it 85?
Okay, so let's say there was 100 professionally paid full-time skateboarders. How many of them quit when they saw that?
Interesting story on that.
I mean, really, to go fakie out 2 feet to try to start learning a trick.
So, you know, Mike was on the 9 Club.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago. And he's talking about it, and he needed a place to ride a vert ramp because I guess his wasn't ready or wasn't in Newport Richie. So he wants to practice for the contest, and he calls my mom basically and said, hey, I'm going to come up there. And my mom's like, yeah, absolutely. Come up here and we'll skate. And I saw the first 540 without even knowing. It's like, hey, I got something to show you. And I'm standing on the vert ramp, and I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how to like describe it. But he does it perfect first try. Unbelievable. I mean, that trick, God gave him that trick, and then it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was the earthquake that changed skateboarding as we know it today.
Yeah.
As much as, and I mean, the Caballero was definitely like, probably people are like, oh my gosh. But you see McGill do that 540, and he's like, I hate the word huck, but he is getting it. It's not like something little.
Yeah. No, so, he went away and he became a man. Became a man. He was this little Mike McGill guy, and he comes back and he's completely buff and he's killing it. And I mean, El Gato, the El Gario was what, fakie 360 hand plant?
Yeah. I mean, still, that's a sick trick.
Right. That was sick enough. But when you know, we had Jim Goodrich on the show about a year ago, and he said the same thing you said. He was it was at Del Mar. Mike comes out and says, hey, I want you to see this, but I don't want you to take any pictures of it. And he does it. And Jim's like, what was that? I don't even know what you did. Do it again.
Yeah. It was 84, Sweden. 84.
Oh, okay. 84. All right. So wow.
We got to witness this. The same thing happened though when Gelfand showed up in California and was throwing front side ollies. So this was 79.
Yeah.
Shows up out there. People are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They talked about when the McTwist was introduced at the Del Mar contest that Mikey was practicing for. So he brought it out to California, did this. But to your point, Edgar, people were trying to learn it. And some people, so I think it was Tony was saying that Lester was one of the first ones who learned it. And he learned it like within a week, and he slammed on the deck and never did another one. He's like, fuck this. So, I mean, Lester gave up twists, which then puts you behind the 8 ball, in any competition scene. So
I became, because of skateboarding, I became super good friends with Lester. Like he's like
he still shreds.
he still rips.
He's a cool guy. Yeah, I've
He's
met him.
such a good spirit. Yes, I mean, none of them are bad. It's kind of crazy. Maybe I'd see positive in everybody. There was something positive in everyone. So
yeah. Lester goes to the Elgato events. He's always at those things, and it's fun as hell because he's, you know, still healthy and shredding, and he's not all broken down like a lot of us other old pro skaters. But
so, all right. So, I mean, I have to touch on the similarity. So I was at the 79 Del Mar, and the only time I could practice in the keyhole was when Rodney practiced, because they would shut down the keyhole for men's practice, make it women's practice, and then Rodney would skate. And that was the only time anybody would go to freestyle. Was they go, let's watch Rodney skate, and Rodney was blowing minds. So that's my whole Florida plug here. You've got McGill, Gelfand, and Rodney Mullen. You had Tim on the cover, and you guys are waiting in the wings. It's been an amazing ride for Florida to do what we did, and we have to skate in the humidity. It's a little bit different.
I mean, you got Kelly Lynn who basically invented the layback air.
Kelly he's so fun to watch skate. He's great.
So
we'd still go down
good to watch.
Yeah, so he does bank slalom, which I got into like a couple years ago with Buck, and I was always good friends with Kelly, but I mean, really like took off a little bit with him and Chuck. They love that bank slalom, and Kona they brought back their original bank slalom, and those guys, I think it's a little bit different. It's not straight down the hill going through cones. I mean, you got to know how to ride the snake in a totally different.
And they got they got tackle boxes full of bearings and wheels and the whole science.
Oh, I got them now too. We nerded out a little bit on it.
There are consequences on that snake run. There are consequences.
There are.
Yeah, it is not trivial. You can fuck yourself up on that thing. You don't know what you're doing. It's not just about going fast. You got to have that under control.
But were you telling me about just like straight through the bottom was the last?
Yeah. So they had two. They had they had like a true slalom, the whole track that they took. You had pictures and they figured that out. Buck and Marty and Kaufman. And then they're just like, Mitch just wanted one that's like a giant slalom. So they had the big roll-ins at the top of the snake. So I just took the board and I actually was like, I think I'll go faster I changed from a 75 to an 80 wheel that I got from Skate King. And I was just like, I took one practice ride, and then I was like, all right. And my second ride was like the fifth fastest time out of everybody. And I just rode down the middle. I didn't do anything. Just
rode down the middle.
Yeah, which you're hauling butt. It's like you're going over 20 miles per hour, especially on those boards and those wheels. It's just it's like a Formula One race car. It's the best way I could describe it. Because if you want to turn right, you're turning right. You want to turn left, you're turning left. And I mean, in a hurry, and you better be ready.
Yeah.
What was the times? What were the times?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this, and I was trying to think. It was in like 11 seconds or something like that. It was like, yeah, I mean, and it's pretty far. It's over. It's a half. It's right at like right under half a mile from where we start to the bottom of the snake run. Remember, you're not going in a straight line. So
it's not a half a mile, a quarter of a mile. No,
it's 0.35 is what it is.
Really?
Yeah. I only know that because I had my Garmin watch told me.
And you can check your speeds. That's so awesome. I like
It
that.
will tell me my high speed off of it.
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't figured out because you're holding on for dear life to stop and start it.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to get the little thing in the, in front of your
That
glass.
display in your glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So let's check out some more photos here. Let's see, just take a second. Where were we? Oh gosh.
I only got the skate sensation basin one time too.
Oh, you did get to skate it. Tell us about that.
I think I was more overwhelmed because I was a little bit younger in my kind of skateboard, walk. And I went there and I just remember Monty being there at that time. And I think he was riding for Veriflex.
Yeah.
I don't think he was at Schmidt yet. And I remember going, man, he has the dumbest wrist guards I've ever seen. So.
Is it SIOs?
No, they were the Veriflex wrist guards that they had.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he used to be full on teamed up on Veriflex. He had Veriflex everything. And he would rock that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he was so
Powerful.
big.
He was a powerful
he was
skater.
so big. He
Yeah.
was big even then. And he was super nice to us too. That's the other thing. I'll never forget how nice he was to me and Kevin. I think Robbie Higgerson was with us for some reason. He's the guy that actually got me. He was my neighbor. He was one house down from me. And he went to Conan. That's the reason why I skate today. It's because he got a skateboard. And I was like, Mom, I got to have this. And
so being a Kona local, but then skating at Sensation Basin, you got to have a Bacchum story.
Oh boy.
Oh, are you ready for a Bacchum? Well, I got a couple. So Bacchum loved across the street from Kona. Well, not like across the street. So you had to turn down the main highway. There's a big highway right there, only the expressway. They had a McDuff's, like it was a kind of like a Piccadilly. So it was like nothing but food there. And you just walk up and grab what you wanted. So he's got me, Kevin Lambert, and somebody else in the back of the seat. And I don't know anything about really drugs or anything. I know that drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad. Mm-hmm.
So he's driving and there's a police officer. He's like, oh my God, did we put the cocaine away? I was like, oh my God. I was like,
That's exactly what Bachman would say, just to scare you.
yeah. And he didn't. I probably did, but I probably not at that time. So we were just driving there. We had to drive down the road, do a U-turn and go there. So that's one. But my favorite all-time Bachman story is he was the man child. But if y'all remember, back in the day, they had showers where you could shower after you skated. And he is butt naked. And Michelle Ramus walks out and he's just like, does not care. He's just taking a shower right in front of everybody.
His long hair. This is the full-on long hair. Yeah.
Those are two of the nicest stories I've ever heard about Chris Bacco, actually.
I didn't tell you the one story about him hollering. Y'all don't know who Jeff Head is, but Jeff Head's like this huge guy now. And he was Limp Bizkit's bodyguard now. But it's me and him trying to get Jeff Head to drop in Kona's vert ramp, and Bacchum is just like screaming at him at the top of his lungs to get him to do it. It was like, it's the first time I ever learned how to heckle. If I learned anything from Bacchum, it's like, don't be too serious and heckle people.
That would be correct.
That's words to live by. Okay, let's jump into the combi here. I see what's going on the bottom there.
Yeah.
On the fake Beamer.
Yeah, I love that. I loved it when they came out with that. So they came out with that board.
You worked with Dan on the photos I see.
Yeah, so Dan took that picture.
Dan's
I
such a great.
wasn't. Yeah,
I stole
yeah.
his hood by accident the last time I was out there. Sorry, Dan. Love you.
Yeah. Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Dan.
yesterday. Well, yesterday was his birthday. He's the pro golfer now. Yeah,
Awesome.
I would get out there and skate. I would try to qualify every time. I miss it by one, like every time for some reason. I think that they liked it, like to give me a hard time a little bit. But I would show up 2 days before the contest too, and try to ride combi. You just can't do that.
Yeah, there's guys living there, freaking skating it 3 times a week, and yeah, the last 2 days are crazy.
Right. So it's a shirt blower is what Buck likes to call it. Now Buck could show up and just kill it because he's just an unbelievable skater. A lot of people have a hard time with that. I like that pool. I don't know. I mean, I would like really listen to what they were telling me and try to translate. I tried right there. I'm doing that invert. That's where I tried to do big Chris Miller lean airs, but I wasn't as good as Chris, of course. But my problem is that I had a hard time because I would shoot more. If you're looking at this picture, more to the right, I'd be way too far to the right, so it'd be hard to go back through this corner because you got to go through that corner and come back to the other corner that's across from you as you're looking at this picture to go back to the round. That's the thing about that square is if you don't set yourself up right, you're going to be vert ramping that thing. So, and that's what they don't want to see you do.
Yeah.
You want to be able to set yourself up to hit the corners, go back to the round, go to the round, back into the square. So, I watch a lot of video too before I go out there to understand what lines. I'd watch Miller because he's a regular footed skater, and that would help me. I'd watch Bucky a lot. Of course, I couldn't do the tricks that they were doing, but I would do the tricks that I could do and try to make it.
McGill has such power through that you've captured. You have to know exactly how to hit those lines to go from square to round. And God, he could go so freaking fast in there.
So tell me, what's the guy's name? They just put it up again. Who jumps the gap on the round? That is just, what is it, 30 feet?
Oh, Clay Kreiner.
Yeah,
so
Clay.
The big gap. Yeah, Clay. Yeah. So Clay's jumped it, but I was there when Clay jumped it, and then I was there when Pedro jumped the Peninsula. So, and that's just like, that is as gnarly as that jump is for Clay. That him just jumping, coming, because he comes out of the round into the square, big backside air, and then he comes straight at that wall to go right over that peninsula from the square into the round. It's
how high is
he's
he?
like 8 feet out too.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I watched Clay do so we were there at the same time then. I guess did I run into you that combi? Because I watched Clay
pretty much every time I've been to California, I usually run into you at least once because I'm Mike.
That I remember. Yeah, I was skating with I was there with Dan Brown. But anyway,
and that's the other thing is because all those guys we all the Florida guys, we somehow one of us connects or we're all connected.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're all over here.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched Clay try that, probably hit it 10 times and just like, fuck, so close. It's just so freaking gnarly. Never saw him make it.
Well, what's the bail? What's the bail over the middle? Oh, I mean, you're 8 feet high, you're committed, you're going in.
Over the peninsula?
Yeah. You're going in one way or the other at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like landed like standing up a couple times on the peninsula, and then all of a sudden he just like
Just went.
meloned over it. It's the only way to explain it. He just like, but I was telling Ed, I was like, I had a plane to catch, so I was like, we need to get this going so I can see this. So I can go. I think McGill was like, he was trying to get back because he had something the next day, so he was like, man, we gotta go. And I was trying to fly back here because that's like Mother's Day weekend when those go on, and I was trying to get back for Mother's Day. So
that's a good story. I like that. I like that. You keep that up. That's a good thing. And so is this, I mean, I've never been there. So there's the stands, it just seems kind of cramped where, when there's a full house, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of room for a lot of people.
It is cramped is not the word. That it is. The decks. I mean, George can tell you the decks are like full of people. Where I'm doing this invert at, come onto the deck. That's like squared off. That's where like a lot of the athletes and everybody sits. It's like so packed. If you go around, they'll put chairs all the way around, and across from here, Cab likes to set up right across from there. I remember one year I set up for him and McGill. I felt like I was like their coach that year. I was like telling they would. I'd videotape them and say like little tiny things to him, like, what are you doing right there? And Mike is ripping, like him and Cab that year. That's one of the years I felt like they were going to beat Chris if Chris messed up. So
Bill had a year where he was freaking, that was his year.
Yeah.
He was landing everything like right a millimeter below coping, just fucking, just beautiful.
But that's McGill, man. He's freaking rips.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's still skating. Go ahead.
He comes through. Not too many people can even do this. He can do a board slide because he's goofy footed out of the round so he's coming out of the round going towards the shallow, come out of the shallow and board slide back into the square. So Palencia. So it's you don't realize how gnarly that is. It is like crazy how gnarly that is. It's amazing. I wish I could do board slides that good. I can do front side board slides, but man, you're not. I'm not doing a front side board slide right there. I mean, maybe.
I'll say I won't. Not me. I love backside board slides.
I mean, I was stoked just that I made a frontside air coming from the square into the round. It wasn't a big one either. It was just I just wanted to make it. And, you hit. And they'll tape. It's pretty funny. They'll put tape on to show you where to go.
Yeah.
That's on the transition. So
you don't hit off camber. You have some sort of visual clue on where you need to take your weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of nice of them. That's it seems like it's big as hell, but it seems like things come up rather quickly. I mean, if you're going that fast and that high, because you've got to be doing moves out, and with that comes speed and commitment, and you could wind up airing into the middle of the round bowl flat real easy. Just
it catches it. I mean, if you hit it right, it catches you just like a glove, though. It's pretty. Yeah. If you really get used to it and work your way through it's a little too much for me now, but it was fun. I was glad I got to ride it. I mean, I rode it from for 10 years. It felt like probably not that long, but I at least rode it maybe, probably that long until they stopped doing it there.
Yeah. Didn't you tell me they were practicing right now? It's open.
They've got some special sessions going on right now.
Gee.
Yeah, I'll pass right now.
Pass. You want to come home to to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool how you do come home. A lot of people go out and they stay out there. And you come back and you go, this is not the same refined transition. I'm too good for this now. But you're sick with skating. I mean, you go everywhere, which is you're skating the ramp at Kona by yourself and still digging it. I mean, that's testimony to loving the sport. I don't even know if you call this a sport at this point. But so let me ask you about these inverts. So are you traveling a lot sideways on purpose, or is this
like that? What, like, because you're in this round right here, it kind of forces you to, how I'm trying to do it. This picture's probably taken a little late, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is not big. This is a what's called an elliptical pool, and it's really odd. This is Kennesaw, and it's just like super odd. It's the best. And this is the first time I was in Kennesaw with McGill. I went there twice. Once for a Steve Stedham type of event and like a fundraiser for Kennesaw, which is a Tony Hawk Foundation park. Super good, super fun. They have like a flow bowl that everybody, it's like multi-leveled, super easy to grind. It's got like a little clamshell that you can go up and just get speed. It's really fun. And they did like a little contest, and I was there, so I just entered just to have fun because I just wanted to skate with all those guys more than anything. I skate contests so I can skate with my buddies. It's kind of weird.
Yep.
You know? And then this 50-50 grind, this is actually at New Smyrna Beach. I loved it. This is a great pool. Super good pool. So, and then the bottom two, I can see them. I know those two well. That's at Kona. It's Kona's pool.
Oh my.
Steezy.
Nice little stiffy there coming in hot.
Yeah. Yep.
Little Jeff Phillips action.
Yeah, that's my best version of Jason Jesse that I could get right there. Yeah.
It's really only facial expressions we got there. Pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Smith grinds. I mean, I like frontside grinds. That's probably one of my favorite tricks. That and inverts, are my favorite tricks.
It's got to be real coping, though, right?
I want pool coping. Yes.
Yes. Here.
So
this guy. So there's a more straight up and down.
Yeah. So this is a Chris Capo picture. This is a Chris Capo picture right here. So with the invert. And the funny thing that we say about Chris is like, this is probably like the second one I did. He made me probably do this 20 more freaking times because he was trying to get the sky right. Because see how the sky's purple? So he was always, he loved skating and he loved skateboarding pictures, but he wanted like certain things about it. And then he would make me, because he knew I could kind of manipulate my board, he'd make me do certain things differently. So
that's cool.
And I love Madonnas, so there's a big Madonna for you right there. Kona's pool.
That's beefy. That's not a trivial trick.
It's to me one of the easier tricks because you can kind of manipulate the board a little bit, and where you're at because everything's a little away from you, so you can throw it under you a little bit easier when you did a Madonna versus just like a lean to tail. Lean to tail kind of makes you stay where you're at, where you see how you're so open.
Yeah.
When you take that front foot, kind of allows you some freedom, in my opinion.
Well, if it sets up to your eye right, and then you have a bigger enjoyment factor because you launch and you go, yeah, I've got this 20 degrees either way. I'm good. I can enjoy this for a couple of milliseconds before I have to put my foot back on.
Right. And then I can take it and go more, straight up, straight down there, or I can kind of push it,
Yeah.
kind of out in front of me if I needed to.
Spin around a little bit.
Yep.
Those are the fun things. Do you ever figure out how much math you're doing when you launch? You go, I've got a microsecond to figure out whether I'm going to live, another one to figure out whether I'm going to pull this off, and another 2 to enjoy it before I got to go back to work and right away. And it's just amazing if you think about the calculations you're doing right at launch. And all right, so I thought this guy's John McGuigan. I don't know who he is.
He's actually works at Kona, and now he's a famous barber, but he was a professional rollerblader, and I got this shirt from him, and it says I used to skate. So
Nice.
and that's the Greek right there.
Of
That's Jimmy the
course.
Greek. So me and Greek, every time we see each other, we take a selfie. It's hilarious.
That's
So
I've got selfies with Jimmy back to the 70s.
oh, you do? Oh my god!
He's from Clearwater, so he was Art Grom, one of us.
Yes.
Yeah, when Jimmy was on, he kept saying, "Remember, you're riding a toy." That's
Yeah. Jimmy is Jimmy traveled so much, and I would see him in the strangest places. He'd come to Albuquerque, every year or two when I was living in Albuquerque. He'd just show up on a random team tour and just show up and stay there for a couple of weeks. I'm like, hey, okay, this is good. But I love that guy.
So fun to watch him ride too, because it's no telling what is going to happen next. He is all over the place and just the coolest guy to be around. He's just so chill, and his parents are nice folks too.
He's a fantastic pool skater. Fantastic.
So apparently you went somewhere to a wedding and you got to get a picture taken. So
yeah.
Tell us about. I mean, I've never even seen this angle with the. This is Spragna.
So
look how shiny that is. That's awesome.
So again, super blessed. I mean, Mike McGill, and you're friends with Tony Hawk because you skated with them when you were younger, and they're like, "Hey, come skate the ramp," and I was like, "Sure." So I didn't realize how big it was actually. So, and how effortlessly you ride this. So it took me a little while to understand the concept on this ramp. This ramp is the geometry of this ramp is just amazing. Like if I could have skated this for like a month, I would have been able to really do well. Because it's so, once you relax and don't try to force it, it's such a fun ramp to ride. I did try to do like a lean to tail slide over the little gap right there. I don't think I made it. I don't remember me making one, but I did make it across, of course. But it just will, if you want to go fast, you can go fast on this ramp. And I had my youngest son at that time, and he has on a funny story, totally different sport. He's into lacrosse, and he's wearing a Syracuse lacrosse shirt, and like it went crazy on Syracuse lacrosse because they're like, "Who is that at Tony Hawk's ramp?" Syracuse lacrosse, and it's pretty funny. It's me, Kevin Staub, Sperania, McGill. Oh, and one of the girls. Which one was it? One of the girl skaters. She was ripping too, as usual. All the girls rip now. It's amazing. So it was great times. Blessed to skate there. Unbelievable.
It's a great picture and just all around, just a great experience to look at. You look at it and go, that's the way I'd want to skate it. And the fact that you went for the tail slide over, you got to try the gap, right?
You've got to. The gap was a little bit smaller there too, by the way. You can tell it's a little bit smaller there. So I think it's a little bit bigger now.
I mean, it must be amazing for someone of his caliber and all of his friends that skate it to skate it over and over for years. You know, I mean, it's kind of fun to travel from golf course to golf course and park to park and have a different place to skate. To keep them entertained, it's gotta be pretty special. You know, the transition you said is just amazing. Is it a standard, or is it elliptical of some sort, or what? You know, is it just that
13 feet, isn't it? Is it a 13?
It's 13.2. It's
Yeah.
13.2.
Yeah.
oh,
So
Yeah.
it's 13-foot transitions, 2-foot avert or something like that.
it's
It's big.
15 feet
I don't
tall?
think it's 15 feet tall. I just think it has 13 feet transition or something like that. Something
Right.
weird. I think it's total 13 feet tall though.
Right.
That's hefty. That's
It's big.
hefty in the days of 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, it makes like you could go ride combi after this, no problem.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about this. So speaking of that transition, let's go back to Upland. So you got your San Diego boys skating at Del Mar, very pretty skateboarders. And now they got to go skate against Alba at Upland on the grippy, non-coping deepness. I mean, how
Pringles can coping. Coping was like a Pringles can.
Yeah, it's big. It was bigger coping.
it was, some of it was just concrete rolled edge, wasn't it?
It was poured in place.
Gosh. And then you got, yeah.
It was terrible.
But you were used to it from Kona, right?
No, nothing like that at Kona. Nothing like that at Kona. Not at all. Nothing like that. And like we basically got to ride it for like minutes and got
that's right.
kicked
You
out.
thrown out.
Literally rode like warmed up and left.
Well,
I like to say that we got there and were so disappointed we left.
Okay. Yeah.
The real truth of it is that we got there and they're like, you can't skate here. You know, and it was all because of waivers. Because like Bob could skate, but me and Kevin needed waivers. And he had our power of attorney. He could speak for us, and they wouldn't accept that because they couldn't understand the concept. You know, that
Wow, that sucks. Man.
that's
and the problem with me and Kevin is we've been walking into Kona and we barely check in. People are like, oh, okay, you're here. And we just go in there. So we kind of did that at Upland. That probably it didn't help either. You know.
Yeah.
that's Steve Alba's park to do that at.
Yeah.
I
don't even think he was there that day either. Or, you know, he'd have known Bob and would have been a little bit different situation.
think we're getting to the end here. I got another picture of a couple of guys.
Yeah, I got to go cook some dinner.
Oh, that's right. George is on California time, so he's gonna bounce.
There's Mike.
Yeah, I got to go to his Hall of Fame induction.
Oh, wonderful.
And there's me coaching Cab because I have so much to say to him. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're the photographer here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I met him at the 79 Del Mar. He was, I don't know, 12 years old, 13 years old. Still a great kid. You know, him and Mike have been skating for George and Stacy for 40 years.
Yeah.
That is
I was trying to get him to give me this helmet, but he wouldn't give it to me. Still want that helmet, Cab.
He's quite the collector, isn't he?
He is. So am I. So
Oh,
and we like certain and I'm not as bad as I used to be. Like I used to collect all kinds of crazy stuff. So like he likes certain European toys and stuff like that. These build toys, and we were talking about them. in Animal Chin, there's a scene with me and him saying the ramp talking. We're talking about lights blinking. We're talking about some toys that we were buying because I was over in Europe like right before he was with McGill. I was in France for 3 weeks, so because of skateboarding.
Yeah, it was Paris or
I was in Bourges, France.
Bourges. It's a cool country to go to.
It sure is. Super cool.
Well,
Yeah,
Donnie,
yeah.
this has been a great trip into history. We're only touching the surface on this stuff. We'll have to do future era because we talked 80s and a little bit of 90s, but I'm very excited for you to be in the Florida Skateboarding Hall of Fame, and this
Yes,
is wonderful.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for giving us all the pictures and your time, and we look forward to meeting you face to face. I mean, this is great. We'll get this out there, and maybe I'll see if I got to find. I've moved, so I don't know where all my stuff is. But if you're a collector, I'll have to find you a shirt somewhere. This is a fishing shirt.
All right, Ed,
Yeah.
wrap this sucker up.
Oh,
Let's
Look,
get out of here.
I got the new
Oh,
Mike
Mike Hawk shirt. Oh my God, I didn't realize that.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh! Is it a extra large?
No, I'm a large.
Yeah, it's a large.
Just a large.
So you
I
went
should've
from
got
a
a
tiny
small.
guy to a large. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I saw a picture on the Insta of some girl riding a Mike Hawk board. I was like, oops, oh my.
Awesome. Well, thank you for watching the Skateboarding Bros show, and come out to Kona in a couple of weeks, January 11th. Thank
Gotta
you
be
very
there.
much. We're gonna have the Florida Skateboard Hall of Fame inductees and Donny Griffin, and maybe Mr. McGill will show up. Hopefully,
Trying to get him in.
yeah, that'll be awesome. Thank you very much for watching.
You're watching the Skateboarding Bros Show. Stories from the pioneers of skateboarding about the history and the fun of the sport we love.